I believe our First Amendment and our free speech is incredibly important. I'm not familiar with this young lady's op-ed. I haven't read it, and I'm
really okay. I don't know where she mentioned it. I don't remember Cenk mentioning this, but this girl basically wrote an op-ed in her school newspaper about how Israel was, committing a genocide on Palestinians. Basically, it was a pretty mild criticism of Israel. It wasn't that big of a deal. And she was arrested, and I think she's been deported or renditioned to who knows where because of an op-ed that she wrote. That is a pretty clear example of a violation of freedom of speech, seems to me. Like, I know Republicans don't want people to realize this, but people have constitutional protections. Whether they're American citizens or not, it doesn't matter. They have constitutional protections if they are on American soil, and even outside of that, if they're in our jurisdiction. So if we have a contractor in El Salvador that runs a mega prison, that's under our jurisdiction. They have constitutional protections. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene can't possibly not know that this, about this girl. She couldn't possibly have not heard of this. You cannot convince me. She is just pretending to be dumb as dog shit so that she doesn't get criticized. It's like Donald Trump saying, well, I don't know. We got to talk to the lawyers. I'm not sure if I have to give everybody a fair trial. I haven't heard anything about it. After taking a fucking oath to the Constitution, he says, I have no idea what the Constitution is. Is that a document? What's it say? It sounds fascinating. You can't plead ignorance here, Marjorie. You're a federal congressman. There is no excuse for you being unaware of one of the biggest news stories in the free speech realm in the past 50 years.
Not familiar with the details of this story. So because I don't know all those details, it's hard for me to give you an exact opinion on this.
Give it a fucking rest. This is just seriously disgusting. She's just a disgusting human being, honestly.
Yeah, I understand.
This is what I'm talking about. Don't let her get away with that, Cenk. She's full of shit, and she's full of shit. Do not let her get away with it.
Talk about that boycott bill for a second, because there was a Republican right-wing revolt against it. So this is something that actually passes in America all the time. It's in a lot of states. People don't know about it. But like, for example, Florida has a bill that if you boycott or you call for the boycott of Israel, they'll take your government contracts away. And you could be an American citizen. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, BDS is illegal. It's wild.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Still waiting for info on who's going to be the next pope. No read on it yet, but it's looking like the most likely people are left-leaning. So I guess we'll see. God, I hope it's not Pizzabola. Is that his name, Pizzabola? It's an Italian dude who's like a right-wing extremist, and his name is just as ridiculous in Italian, apparently.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's absolutely outrageous, but normally it just passes with flying colors. Who led a revolt in this case that blocked that bill in the Congress?
That was me. I came out first with my opposition.
As if he didn't know that already. Come on.
To the bill, and I announced that I would be voting no to this boycott bill, because again, I believe Americans should be able to buy or boycott whatever product or country that they want to. Look what we did to Budweiser. We took Budweiser down.
Oh my God. You didn't take Budweiser down, but you did a targeted boycott that was successful. Yep, I'll give you that one.
And that happened during the campaign, and that happened from MAGA, that happened from people on the right. So I believe in Americans' ability to be able to do things like that. But I don't lean into this. I think there's this movement that a lot of people are either they're for Israel or they're against Israel. I don't lean into any of that. I think Israel is a country that's doing just fine on their own. They have a great economy. They certainly don't have the amount of debt that we have. They have their own nuclear weapons, and they've already demonstrated they have a very capable military.
Wait, do they? I thought that it was I thought they weren't supposed to have nuclear weapons. I was under the impression that was either secret or or not known for sure or whatever? Is she just kind of coming out here and telling us this? All right. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
We have voted a lot of votes, a lot of resolutions against anti-Semitism in Congress. But for me and my public statements on this issue is that I would like to see in the House of Representatives, we need to be doing more votes and focusing on the agenda that we campaigned for and the American people voted for in November of 2024. And I would like to see us putting our country before other countries. And that's not a for or against or any of that stuff. I just think we need to focus on what the campaign was about.
Yeah. So look, you've taken a good deal of criticism on that issue of anti-Semitism, et cetera. So, and I get where it comes from. You know where it comes from. Having said that, I'll tell you my opinion in the last few years. For me, Israel's a foreign government. And so governments do things that are wrong all the time. I'm originally from Turkey. I'm a naturalized citizen here. And so do I like Turkey? Of course I do, right? But if Turkey's doing something
Oh boy, don't tell her that.
wrong, I'm going to call it out, right? And if we say, hey, you're not.
It's patriotic to point out where your government is failing. That is patriotism. That is a good thing that people should be doing.
Allowed to criticize Turkey, otherwise or boycott Turkey, otherwise we'll take away your government contracts, we'll arrest you, we'll deport you. I'd say that's outrageous, that's crazy. So, and that doesn't mean that you hate me as a Turkish American. That's also crazy.
No, I'm pretty sure she does. I mean, I don't know how far in we are. Maybe we're in part 2 now, but she's pretty clearly, at the very least, a Christian nationalist and a white supremacist, bare minimum. And I argue a full-blown Nazi. I argue that because she attends Nazi conferences and uses Nazi dog whistles all the time to communicate Nazi beliefs to people. Wait, why? I don't understand. What am I supposed to be doing here?
Just means the government is doing something wrong. So I think, I love our Jewish American brothers and sisters, and I think they're some of the best fighters for peace. And
well, she doesn't. She doesn't think that. I would be careful going down this road with her.
So to me, the issue of religion and the issue of a foreign government are completely separate. Do you agree with that?
Oh, of course. And you know what? Listen, I'm a Christian. My savior is a Jew, and that's Jesus. And so
it's fascinating she says that, because in World War II, that was not an accepted belief. In Germany, the Christians there, the Protestants, basically, Hitler spread this idea through the Protestants. Basically, in World War II, Hitler had to fight 2 internal struggles to take power, the political one and the religious war, basically. He had to erode the separation, they didn't have a separation of church and state. He had to erode the power base of the Protestant leaders that didn't support him fully, and he had to support the Protestant leaders that did support him. And they held a church election to determine who was going to be the leader of the Protestant church. And he put forward one of his guys, and the dude's name was Ludwig Muller. And he was just some random unknown dude who was like a military chaplain. That's like one of the lowest positions that you could have in the church is military chaplain. Like, you pissed somebody off to get that position, basically. It was not an honorable position. So he's just some random fucking asshole. And Hitler put him forward as his chosen guy. He endorsed him publicly on the radio the night before. And, Rudolf Hess and a bunch of other people basically told their brown shirt units that it was a requirement to vote in the church elections for Ludwig Muller and stuff like that the night before. And Ludwig Muller won the election. So Hitler takes control of the Protestant church by getting Ludwig Muller to the top of the organizational structure. And then he convinced him to push religious beliefs that were completely nonsensical. He was basically, he was pushing them to create a new denomination. And the denomination, they called themselves German Christians. They wanted to call themselves Christian nationalists. I'm 100% real. That is really what they want to call themselves, Christian nationalists. Evangelischer Nationalismus is what they wanted to name themselves, but they ended up, which is evangelical nationalists, which, you know, they didn't end up going with that. Hitler 86'd it and went with German Christians because he thought that it might be more inclusive to like all Christians in Germany, basically. So it was a Deutsche Christen is what it ended up being by the end of it. And one of their core beliefs was Jesus was not Jewish. Jesus was not born of a virgin. Mary was not a virgin. She was basically, she slept with a Roman soldier named Julius Abdes Pantera, I think was his name. And he impregnated Mary, and Jesus was born. And in their minds, Roman soldiers were Aryans. That made Jesus the first anti-Semite and the first Aryan, basically. Or one of the early Aryans. So they don't believe that he was Jewish. It's fascinating that she seems to like accept that he was Jewish here, because usually Nazis don't.
Look, I have no problem with Israel. I think they're doing great. They're a great country, as well as many other countries are. And criticism, about anything is something. I have a pretty good reputation of criticizing things that I think are wrong. And, you know, you referenced where I've been accused of anti-Semitism, but that was a headline and it was not the actual story. So
no, she's anti-Semitic as fuck. She is. You can claim you're not all you want, but you absolutely are. You're a fucking nutcase, an anti-Semitic nutcase. And I say this as somebody that really thinks that like Israel is evil right now. They are fucking evil. They're disgusting, horrific, and evil. I don't think it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. I think that's honestly the exact opposite. But she is actually anti-Semitic.
You may have your facts wrong there on that. I'm not anti-Semitic, not a single bone in my
She absolutely is, obviously. What happened to the Jewish space laser shit?
body is anti-Semitic. As a matter of fact, I think that one of the problems is in this country is constantly accusing people of all kinds of hate.
Oh, please. Yeah. You know what? This is ridiculous. When I hear this shit, this drives me nuts. Oh, everyone calls me a Nazi. Everyone says I'm a Nazi. How do you manage to call everybody a Nazi all the time? How do you justify that? You know what this reminds me of right here when Marjorie Taylor Greene says shit like this? I'll show you what it reminds me of. I played this the other day too. This is what it reminds me of right here. It's in German, so I'm going to translate, or I'm going to read the subtitles, I mean. Germany, 1933. This is right at the beginning of Hitler's rise to power, when he took control. Nazi. In case you're listening and not watching. Excuse me, did you just call me a Nazi? They're literally wearing an SS uniform with a swastika armband. Well, you are one. Gross impertinence. Just because I'm in the NSDAP and the SS, it doesn't make me a Nazi. NSDAP was the Nazi party. That was its official name. Nationalsozialistische Deutsche something something, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. And the SS was the Nazi police service, effectively. I bet you think I'm extreme right, too, don't you? Yes, what else could you be? Maybe I'm a concerned citizen who's afraid of foreign domination. But I'm not right-wing. And above all, I am not a Nazi. Hey, you there. Do I look like a Nazi? He says to another Nazi. No, I wouldn't say so. See? He must have been a Nazi too then, right? Nazis, Nazis, Nazis. Nazis everywhere. When you're running out of arguments, it's easy to play the Nazi card. That has nothing to do with a Nazi card. That makes life very easy for you. Just because someone doesn't share the mainstream opinion, it doesn't automatically make them a Nazi. But being a Nazi already is mainstream. You National Socialists already have the power. Oh, I forgot. In your world, everyone is a Nazi. The Führer probably is a Nazi too, right? Yeah? That's enough. Insulting the Führer. Come along. But that's... Yes, I know. Nazi methods. I love that skit. That's fantastic. That's what I think of when I hear Marjorie Taylor Greene say shit like this. She's a fucking Nazi. It doesn't get any clearer. She is a Nazi. Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei. Did I get it? Is that close enough? Anyway, yeah, I'm learning German. I'm trying.
In this country is constantly accusing people of all kinds of hate, whether it's anti-Semitism, racism, being homophobic, all of these things.
Like, why are you even pretending not to be these things? You know that you're homophobic. Like, you're openly homophobic. You don't like gay people, right? I don't understand why you're even pretending here. What's the point? Seems like a lost cause. Arbeiter. Arbeiter. Is that it? I was thinking Arbeit. Like, what is that job? Arbeit? I forget what that is. Or is it doctor? Or wait, no, doctor is Oz or something, right? Arts. Work. That's it. Work. Yes, I knew it was something like that. Also, Beruf. Yeah, I'm getting there. One step at a time. Oh, Arbeit is work and Arbeiter is worker. Okay, that makes sense. Workers' Party. Okay, yeah, that makes sense now. Arbeiterpartei. Yeah. Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei. National Socialist German Workers' Party. That's cool. Anyway, we'll continue.
I think that what we need to focus on is that we're all people. And
Beruf? No, it's Beruf. B-E-R-U-F. Beruf. But there, in German, there are light L's and there are dark L's. I'm sorry, in English, there are light L's and dark L's. Like telephone. I'm saying the L with the back of my throat. Telephone or alphabet. Light L's are with the tip of your tongue. Light L's like that. German doesn't have dark L's. They have light L's only. So R's are pronounced like dark L's most of the time. But they're also actually officially pronounced like Dachau. D-A-C-H-A-U. Dachau. That's how R's are pronounced, kind of, from my understanding. So Beruf could be pronounced Beruf, but I think it's more like Beruf, kind of a dark L rather than a sound. Anyway, I suck at it. I'm trying.
And making sure that we remember that humanity is something
Danke schön, yes. Thank you, beautiful.
that's extremely important. And that's why we're having this chat tonight, is because we're both against all of these wars. And we need to make sure that we can take a stance in America that we don't want to be involved. We don't have to be involved. We don't have to be involved in every single conflict. And we don't need to go out and fight wars on behalf of foreign countries.
Absolutely agree with you. However, we should fund some countries that need help to embarrass an adversary that is trying to destroy democracy. We should absolutely do that. Fund them alongside Europe and other countries, like Ukraine, for example.
As a matter of fact, we need to fix our problems at home.
Okay, well, I was going to go to the next topic, but you brought up that it was a false headline. So you're right. We have said some bad things about you. There's no question about that. And so, and it started with that issue of the space lasers, right? So you brought it back up.
But I never said.
Okay, that's what.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. You can say that you didn't all you want, but it has just as much legitimacy as claiming you're not a Nazi. Yes, you are. You absolutely are. I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna let you get away with this. You are a Nazi, and you said Jewish space lasers were catching fucking fires in California.
I'm going to ask
lasers. So that's a lie. Yeah,
It's not a lie. It is literally the truth. Like, I think she said something to the effect of the deep state, has been building things in space that are being used against people on the ground or something like that. I don't even remember what it was. Let's see if I can find the answer to that. Here we go. Yeah, I think that this is the original Facebook post. Oh my God, I opened the twit without prepping ahead of time to make sure that it didn't have adult entertainment. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. So this is the original space laser thing, I think. As are now over 70 people confirmed dead and over 1,000 missing. The fires in California are a horrific tragedy. I'm praying for all involved. This is before she was a congressman. I believe she took a seat in Congress in 2020, remember correctly, 2021. Feels like it's been way longer, right? I'm posting in speculation because there are too many coincidences to ignore, and just putting it out there from some research I've done stemming from my curiosity over PG&E stocks. I think that's Procter & Gamble, which tanked all week when rallied Thursday night. All right, here's a summary. The post speculates about possible corruption and conspiracy involving PG&E, California politicians, and wealthy elites. It suggests that the California wildfires may have been intentionally caused or exploited for financial gain, linking the fires to PG&E, Jerry Brown, and the high-speed rail project. It further claims that space solar generators developed by PG&E's partner, SolarN, could be involved in causing the fires through misdirected energy beams. The post implies financial manipulation by insiders who allegedly profited from PG&E stock fluctuations. It presents these claims as speculative, but hints at a broader conspiracy involving powerful entities. Can you give me the specific quote about the space laser? Quote, then oddly, there are all these people who've said that they saw what looked like lasers or blue beams of light causing the fires, and pictures and videos. I don't know anything about that, but I do find it really curious PG&E's partnership with SolarN on space solar generators starting in 2009. They announced the launch into space in March 2018, and maybe even put them up before that. Space solar generators collect the sun's energy and then beam it back to Earth to a transmitter to convert to electricity. Wow, that would be fucking awesome. Unfortunately, that's not real. Yet. Maybe one day. The idea is clean energy to replace coal and oil. Oh, so that's the conspiracy. Jewish space lasers to supply us with clean energy instead of coal and gas, which is superior to clean energy, I guess, in her mind. If they are beaming the sun's energy back to Earth, I'm sure they wouldn't ever miss a transmitter receiving station, right? I mean, mistakes are never made when anything new is invented. What would that look like anyway? A laser beam or light beam coming down to Earth, I guess. Could that cause a fire? I don't know. I hope not. Quote unquote. That's what she said. And around that time, I remember I covered this. Taylor, Greene, QAnon. This is around the same time. This is 2018 when she posted that.
The fact, because we see all these sealed federal indictments, and we're seeing all these other things happen, and there's sources like, he's anonymous, Q is anonymous, but he seems to be completely for the good.
Q is a fucking moron, okay? The guy that started QAnon, he's an idiot. It was Paul Ferber, possibly assisted by Tracy Beans Diaz, who is very integrated into politics today. And in 2020, or I don't remember when, whenever QAnon, the account, moved to 8chan from 4chan, it was taken over by Ron Watkins and Jim Watkins. And it's been Ron and Jim Watkins ever since, for a very, very long time. In fact, it was the original Q for a very short amount of time, comparatively, actually. Anyway, it's just some asshole. They're not even in government. In fact, they're not even in America. Ron and Jim Watkins live in the Philippines, I believe, or Japan. One of the two. I don't remember. Their servers are in the Philippines. Jim Watkins lived in the Philippines for a long time. I don't remember where they are. No.
He seems to be totally on Trump's side, and he seems to be very high up and connected.
He was not.
So because of those things, I'm becoming more hopeful, and I'm not being as pessimistic, and I'm trying to stop saying that's never going to happen, because I really think it might happen. So I'm very excited about that. Now,
she's talking about the storm. She really thinks the storm, quote unquote, is going to take place, i.e., this big event where all the bad guys are arrested and everybody is, vindicated and proven to be correct all along and all that other stupid shit.
So I'm very excited about that. Now, there's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take this global cable of Satan worshiping.
Dude, I love global cable. Not cabal, which it actually is, but the cable. The global cable.
Pedophiles out. And I think we have the president to do it. And so I'm very excited about that.
This is from back then. This is from 2018, when she wrote about the Jewish space lasers, she absolutely 100% definitely talked about Jewish space lasers. So I don't want to hear it. She's so full of shit. Wait, where did my thing go? Yeah, here it is.
Lie. And I really am tired of people perpetuating.
So step back, listen to what she said about the Jewish space laser again. She absolutely said there were Jewish space lasers.
And it started with that issue of the space lasers, right? So you brought it back up.
Yeah, but I never said.
Okay, that's why I'm
Jewish
going to
space.
ask.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You did say that. In fact, you said, quote, hold on. Space solar generators collect the sun's energy, beam it back to Earth to a transmitter to convert to electricity. All these people who've said they saw what looked like lasers or blue beams of light causing the fires and pictures and videos. I do find it really curious that PG&E's partnership with SolarN on space solar generators starting in 2009. You did, in fact, talk about Jewish space lasers. You can pretend you didn't all you want, but you absolutely did.
Lasers. So that's a lie. Yeah, it's a lie. And I really am tired of people perpetuating.
So what do you mean you didn't say? Just I'm trying to clear it up.
I never said that.
But you did.
Never said that statement in my life, but there was someone that wrote an article and that was the headline and that's what they created. It was in early January of 2021 when I first came into Congress.
Referencing a Facebook post on your Facebook page where you talked about Jewish space lasers. Well, you talked about space lasers that were created by these companies that happen to be led by Jews. And you were very, very anti-Semitic at that time, as evidenced by a ton of other videos. You can pretend you were totally unconnected and disassociated from QAnon all you want, but you absolutely were. And that's a QAnon belief, this whole Jewish space laser thing.
And so it was an entire hit piece against me. And it was a statement I had never said in my life. And
just bullshit.
And never even heard of it until I saw it trending on Twitter attached to my name.
So that was not your Facebook account?
Of course it was my Facebook account, but
oh, well, how about that? So you're saying that you did post that. It's just we misinterpreted then, right?
I never said Jewish space lasers.
Okay, you said space lasers owned by Jewish companies. My mistake. I'll get more specific.
Of course it was my Facebook account, but I never said Jewish space lasers. And I never blamed Jewish people or Israel for anything in my Facebook post. And you could read my Facebook post and it's
I did. I read it.
Clear and obvious.
Yeah, it is clear and obvious that you talked about Jewish space lasers.
Okay. Are you worried about Elon's space lasers these days? Because they're like, I heard about this Golden Dome project. I know this is a little bit, it's just the adjacent topic, but let me ask you while we're here. So it would cost hundreds of billions of dollars, and theoretically it would be like Iron Dome that we gave to Israel where it protects the country, but it sounds like a giant boondoggle to me. I don't think that they're gonna be able to pull that off. And isn't it a problem that Elon's one of the top donors to Donald Trump? And
yeah, I don't trust literally anything that Elon Musk does. If this had been suggested by anybody that was trustworthy to any degree at all, I would be interested. I would look into it. I would think about it. I consider it. But Elon Musk is a completely untrustworthy person who is about as corrupt as they come, who is a vile human being. So when he suggests something, I assume it's not real. If for no other reason than because he fakes shit all the time. When he presented a Tesla model to investors, it was a Chevy Volt that had its bumper changed and a whole bunch of like little design changes. It wasn't actually a Tesla prototype like he was supposed to deliver to investors. He had this party where he had like an android walking around and talking to people. It was a guy in another room controlling it remotely. Everything that Elon Musk does is fake. It's a lie. It's fictitious. He cannot be trusted at all. So if someone else suggests something like this, I'll think about it. But when Elon Musk suggests it, I assume it's just a way to launder money or to get more money, to inspire more corruption in the United States.
Now, if he gets this mass.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sorry. Miracle says, to the chat, you've been elected the new pope. What name do you take? Biggest Dickus. That's going to be the big one, right? I don't think I've seen that movie. Certainly not in a very, very long time. But it's like, you can't not suggest that. So I'm going to get that one out of the way. No one else can take it. Give me some others.
So
Pope God 69. Yeah. Okay, I will one-up you on that. Pope God 69 420 is what I'm going with.
Isn't it a problem that Elon's one of the top donors to Donald Trump, and now if he gets this massive contract for Golden Dome, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest you'd be worried about?
Oh, it's absolutely a conflict of interest for sure.
Well, I think having national defense is critically important, and that's something that the American people would
That wasn't the question. Is it a conflict of interest?
definitely want. I don't know the details of this project, but I think it's kind of silly to just make these accusations against Elon and the Trump administration.
Are you kidding me right now? She is so dead set against war with Iran, and she's so willing to like split hairs and pull it apart and read between the lines and all this other shit. But when it comes to Elon Musk, she's just completely in the dark, has no idea why anybody would suspect that Elon Musk is untrustworthy. Come on.
When we could go through every single administration going back for decades and line up the wealthy people in the country that benefited from whoever was president at the time. I mean, we could talk about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, who banned me, Twitter.
Wait, why would we talk about that? Why would that be on our lips at all? We're not talking about Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg. We're talking about Elon Musk. What does Zuckerberg have to do with literally anything at all? Why are you even bringing his name up?
That banned my personal page until Elon bought X back. We could go through the list on and on. Pharmaceutical companies that benefited during COVID and many more things.
Again, I'm not sure why we're talking about that in the first place. That's completely unconnected from Elon Musk's corruption. You were asked about Golden Dome. Do you remember the question?
So I'm not really going to get into the silly back and forth about,
silly back and forth about corruption. I'm not going to talk about corruption because it's such a stupid subject. Who cares about corruption, right? Are you serious right now? This is Marjorie Taylor Greene pretending to be honest when she very clearly is not.
Elon is bad. Actually, I think Elon is a great patriot, and what he's doing at Doge is critically important because we're $36 trillion in debt. That's the right.
Yeah, that's why we raise taxes on the rich. We don't cut taxes on the rich and then raise them on the poor and then cut social programs. What the fuck gave you the idea that that's a good idea? What makes you think that's going to solve literally anything?
And the left, we're in that debt together. And so I'm thankful he's taking that on.
Right. So on another show, we might talk about the tax cuts and how that's going to put us in much greater debt. But it is a different topic. So, and by the way, do both sides take tremendous amount of money and do what their owners want? Absolutely. And so do I talk about it in relationship to the Republican Party? Absolutely. Do I talk about it in relationship to the Democratic Party? Absolutely. Right. And again, AIPAC was the #1 donor, but you're right. Big Pharma normally gives more money than AIPAC, some oftentimes 4 times as much, oil companies, bankers, etc. So I'm curious, do you take corporate PAC money or no?
I think she does, right?
No, I don't take a lot of corporate PAC money.
Whoa. That wasn't the question. It was, do you take corporate PAC money? Not, do you take a lot of corporate PAC money? One more time?
Corporate PAC money or no?
No, I don't take a lot of corporate PAC money. I don't have donations from Big Pharma. I think I've had, I didn't go on the Israel trip with AIPAC, and I've had, I think, around $2,000 from them, but that's it. I don't have big tech money. Most of my donations, over 90% of them, are from the grassroots.
That's because people don't fucking like you and don't trust you as far as they can throw you. That's why no one wants to donate to your campaign, obviously. But, she has taken corporate PAC money, and she is very obviously willing to. Clear as day. Also, I love that he's fighting against corporate PAC money and, you know, people like donating corporate PAC money and all that. I like that a lot. It's not the best. It's not the most important issue. Like, we still need to think about a ton of other shit, like whether the person is a Nazi, for example. In this case, she just so happens to be.
Small dollar donations. I have one of the largest digital files in Congress, and I have donors from all 50 states. I think I'm one of the rare members of Congress that actually have donors from all 50 states, as well as over 11 million people that follow me across social media platforms.
So,
Wait, why would she have donors from all 50 states? I'm not sure. Like, you have a constituency, right?
not a lot of corporate PAC money, but some don't take any at all as a matter of principle. Like Ro Khanna on the left, Josh Hawley on the right, Matt Gaetz when he was in office stopped taking corporate PAC money. Do you have a rule against it, or you're just not taking a lot?
I think there's been a couple of donations, but I'd have to literally go through.
We're not asking if there have been donations. We know that there have been donations. We're asking if you have a moral aversion to it.
My FEC to be able to tell you what they are, but there's probably very, very few, if there are any at all.
Okay, you mentioned Snowden earlier.
See, he's letting her off the hook with this, and that just kind of fucking infuriates me.
Trump pardon Snowden and bring him back home?
I think that's something that the president should seriously look at. And I'm for a pardon. I've said that. I've been on record for that, as well as Julian Assange. I think he deserves a full pardon.
Assange does not, in my personal opinion. Snowden, maybe Snowden does. I'm thinking maybe Snowden does deserve a pardon, because he was doing what he did to help the United States, and it needed to be released. And it only hurt the people who perpetrated that. He revealed that under the Patriot Act, the United States was spying on U.S. citizens, collecting data about us, listening to every phone call, learning everything about us. Warrantless searching, effectively, which is horrifying for all kinds of reasons. Julian Assange was intentionally, explicitly, specifically helping Donald Trump win the election by releasing information that was negative about his opponent, but not releasing negative information about him. That is very different, in my opinion.
And
that's election interference now, in my opinion.
I personally would like to see that.
So would I. That's another point of agreement that we have. So for all that we fight and yell at each other, and justifiably so on a lot of issues, it's good to see that we at least have some common ground on some really important issues. Okay, so one more thing here along these lines. Epstein files. How disappointed are you that they have not come out yet?
You know, the Epstein files have basically already come out, right? You know, we already are aware of what, who was on Epstein's jet and what he was up to and everything else. They released forever ago. And people just pretend that they didn't because Donald Trump is all over them. I don't understand how Cenk can say such a thing, and how Marjorie Taylor Greene is not infuriated with Donald Trump, truthfully.
And do you have a theory as to why they haven't?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me about that. You know what I've been saying for quite a few years now is I guarantee.
Unfortunately, I do know what you've been saying.
You, most of that information has already been destroyed. I can't imagine that it still exists. And
bullshit. It exists. Trump released a fully redacted copy of the flight logs. And by the way, we already have the flight logs.
I would like to, of course, we want to see all the information, but I just think it's been destroyed. That's my own personal opinion. But I think there's other foreign countries that probably have information on that as well. And it would be nice if they would release the information that they have.
Oh, that's interesting. Which foreign countries do you think might have
Israel. He was Mossad. Israel would have information on him.
Information about that.
I would guess some of our greatest allies, Israel, probably has information there. I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, surprisingly, I think they do.
If they did, the UK, I bet would have information. I'm not sure who else, but I would suspect those countries.
Are you disappointed that the Trump administration has not put it out yet?
I'm disappointed that many administrations haven't put it out. The Biden administration should have put it out. I think
She just cannot criticize her God Emperor, can she?
a lot of people should have put it out. But again, I'll go back to this. I have a hard time believing that it all still is there.
Yeah. Any theories on what happened?
I have no idea. I couldn't even tell.
Bullshit. She's a member of Congress. She has access to information that others do not have access to. She knows exactly what happened. And you know what? This shit's already public. We already know basically what was going on. We already know he's a member of Mossad. We already know that he, we already have his flight logs. We already have like a lot of the information, like the public does. This is not like some big secret. If the public is aware of all of this information, then she certainly is.
Tell you. Do I think he committed suicide? Nope, I don't think so. But again, that's just my opinion.
Okay. All right. Last thing before we end on a fun question. If Trump does make the mistake of bombing Iran, what do you think is going to happen with America First contingent in Congress, in media, et cetera? How do you push back? And can you influence the president enough to make sure he doesn't bomb Iran, and if he does, to somehow extricate us from there? Because I'm worried that if he does it once and then Iran retaliates, well, we're off to the races.
Iran is famously like in conflict with the United States because of their adversarial position toward Israel. And as a result, the America First Party, being Nazis as they are, just like the original America First Party was in the 1930s and 40s, they're opposed to helping Israel in any way, shape, or form. So the America First the America First Party is going to, in my opinion, and to many people's surprise, be opposed to fighting Iran, I believe.
Well, President Trump is on record for decades being against foreign wars. He's said that over and over again, and he actually campaigned on ending foreign wars.
Give it a fucking rest, man. He tore up the Iran nuclear agreement, which set us up to basically be in war with Iran in an unavoidable way. It was inevitably going to happen because the nuclear agreement was broken. Trump did that. That's on him. He is responsible for the war with Iran that is forthcoming.
And going back to the Abraham Accords, and that is a record that he proudly held during his first administration, and I think he wants to hold that record again in this administration. So I really don't see a scenario where President Trump would bomb Iran at this time unless Iran were to attack America or American interests throughout the world.
Then why are they talking about it? It's getting pretty loud and hard to miss now. Like, I don't know how anybody could say that war with Iran is unlikely at this point with what's going on in the background, disturbingly. Lucky for us, Donald Trump doesn't know the first fucking thing about politics, has no idea how this stuff is supposed to be done, and doesn't realize that George W. Bush worked the American people into a blood frenzy before going to war in Iraq. That's what you have to do. You have to work people into a blood frenzy before you go in. Because if you don't, there's going to be no support for the war, none. It's just going to be like an unpopular mess.
All right, well, let's hope so. And let's hope that the fact that the left, the right, the middle, everyone agrees that we should not get involved in a war in the Middle East influences the president. Okay, on a different electoral topic, last serious question is Senate run in Georgia. Are you considering it?
You know, I'm really lucky to have options for several different races, and I'm lucky to have those options because of the incredible support that I have from many people in Georgia. You know, polling shows that I can easily win for the Senate primary. Polling also shows I can easily win for the governor's primary. But I got to tell you something.
I don't think that's true. That's not true. No way in hell. Brian Kemp is actually very popular in Georgia because he stood up to Donald Trump when he was basically trying to steal the election. But he held strong and managed to like make it through anyway. So yeah, he's not. There's no way in hell she's going to win the primary in Georgia. Absolutely no way.
Something else.
I mean, for governor.
I absolutely love my district. So the good thing for me is it's my choice to make, and I just have to give it some good thought.
Okay, that seems like a wide open door. That's my interpretation of that answer. Okay, and finally, you once did. Speaking of people, us fighting back and forth, which we've done a lot. You once
I don't
did.
think I've ever fought with you.
Yeah, because he hasn't been on a radar. But they just fought a minute ago about the Jewish space laser shit.
Have I ever fought back and forth with you? I don't think so.
No, overall with the network, right? Because you did do a mean tweet about Damage Report. That's John Iadarolla's show. Okay.
I think they were trashing me earlier today. So.
So you're still watching?
Oh yeah, I watch you guys. I watch all kinds of news.
I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I just can't. I would venture to guess she probably watches a lot of Alex Jones.
I'm not a Fox News viewer. I hardly watch Fox. I actually enjoy watching a lot of different news.
I don't believe you.
I enjoy different perspectives and people's opinions.
All right, so you got a message for John Iadarolla?
Tell him to be nice to me. He's never even met me.
Yeah, I don't need to meet you to know you're a fucking scumbag.
Okay, that's a tough ask, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. All right. Well, for folks who have disagreed a lot in the past, I'm glad that we agree on a super important issue. We've got to stop the war. And we've got to get, by the way, I'll also say this. We got to get past our selfishness. Oh, I'm going to be pure. I'm not going to talk to Cenk. I'm not going to talk to Marjorie.
No, look, I'm fine with you talking to her, but you need to push back. You can't let her propagandize to your fucking audience for 30 minutes straight. He did basically zero pushback against her. Practically zero.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm going to stay pure. No, we've got to find alliances, especially when people's lives are on the line, trillions of dollars are on the line. And so thank you for reaching out on that, and I appreciate it. And for actually being true to that principle that you have, which is that you said you were anti-war, and here you are trying to prevent a war. So credit on that issue for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I do agree. The right and the left need to talk more often.
All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
This is only of benefit to Marjorie Taylor Greene. This does not benefit the left in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, if you're a Nazi like Marjorie Taylor Greene actually is, I'm going to have a problem with you. I don't want anything to do with you. And if we agree on something, fantastic. You sit in your little corner and work on that thing that we agree on. And I will work on it in my little corner, and we don't, cross paths anywhere. I just don't want to work with Nazis. I just don't. I don't care. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people are this is just embarrassing for TYT. What happened?